Titanic. That's incredible. Walking through Boston to the venue turned out to be the right call. Went to forego the Uber. We forewent the train, and it's just a really nice stroll in Boston today. Not too cold, but wintry enough to get that feeling. I'm also really excited to be seeing this exhibit. I've never actually been up close to anything related to the Titanic, especially anything that's actually come from it. So it should be a pretty special day. I'm really looking forward to this. Doesn't really get any more wintry than this. All with the backdrop of Boston in the back. And I don't know if you guys can see. I believe that's the Paul Revere statue up there. So this is us walking into the exhibit. The ship's bell was one of the first things we saw. Trying to get good shots of the placards that describe some of these items for you guys. Some of them aren't great. This is actually a boarding pass they give you when you walk in with a real passenger's name and information. And at the end, you'll scan this boarding pass on a computer, and you can see if the person you got survived or not. It's very, very interesting. It's basically a big model of the Titanic. I think it's 1 to 1,000 scale. Some shackles or turnbuckles rather, a wrench for fitting out the massive equipment they had on the ship. Again, I'm trying to zoom in to these little placards that describe the items. Feel free to pause here and there, and you can probably get a pretty good look at them. Some rivets, I believe. All throughout this exhibit, they had some pretty incredible photos, some which I've seen, some which I haven't. If you're a Titanic fan, as I am, then a lot of this stuff you'll recognize, but there's plenty of things that I had not seen previously. Just thought it was so incredible how, when you're up close to these things, you can get a real sense for just how heavy they are. Just complete cast iron. A lot of these items, super heavy. So it's just a wonder how they brought a lot of this stuff up from the bottom. And it's a wonder how some of the stuff like this, like bags, like paper slips, have survived so long. It's really mind-blowing. I thought these were cigars at first, but they're pens. A few postcards as well. Again, it's just incredible, the preservation on some of these items. I often forget down there just how many electrical wires, things like that there are down there. You often forget kind of how advanced they were in 1912. Obviously not super advanced, but they're outfitted with electricity. And those big propellers, those always were so intimidating to me. In this section, I thought was one of the cooler sections of the exhibit. It tends to get cooler the more you walk through. It was Captain Smith, but when you walk through here, they've redesigned it, or designed it to look just like I believe B-Deck would have in 1912 on the actual ship. It was very, very cool. Here we are, kind of geeking out about it. And of course the grand staircase. I guess it's probably the crown jewel of this exhibit. Beautifully recreated, even down to the tiles there you see, with the cherub as well. It's very famous in itself. This is a photo op opportunity.
You could just they give you a QR code. The photo costs nothing to take. It does cost money to print, which we did because I believe it was worth it. Here's some things that would have been on the grand staircase. Again, feel free to push pause on some of this and you can kind of read. Some personal effects here. I believe some jewelry, combs. They had quite a bit of china on display, which is pretty cool. And again, miraculous how it was able to survive so well. A few bow ties, lapel pins. Some more jewelry. It is staggering, being close to these personal effects and realizing, oh, this belonged to somebody who experienced this tragedy. It's wild. Some tile here. Some of it perfectly preserved, honestly. This was the third class area, much like the B deck area. You could see kind of what this third class hallway would have looked like. And a few lumps of coal, or a lump of coal and some fire brick. This section was cool. These are all the gentlemen, I believe, some very young, that were working down there, shoveling that coal into those furnaces. And speaking of the furnaces, they did a really cool little recreation job here. This, I believe, would have been it says a watertight door shaft. So this would have been responsible for cranking up or cranking down that massive watertight door that was supposed to make her unsinkable. As you progress into this section of the exhibit, they're showing you more things that align with the sinking, or not being able to spot the iceberg, rather. So we've got this lamp. Thought it was really cool detail, all the reports from other ships. And another boot. And more warnings. Pair of binoculars, which I'm assuming they did not have in the crow's nest. Probably wouldn't be using them too much at night. A bunch of quotes from survivors. Some more glass bottles here. And that one on the right is, I believe, a champagne bottle, still corked. Few of the bigger artifacts. I forget what this is. I think it says it's a telephone box, looks like. And they had Honor and Glory's reproduction of the sinking, which I thought was pretty cool. They've done an awesome job in that program. Again, feel free to pause on these little placards, get a better feel for the item. This section was super cool. They had like a recreation iceberg. I'm not really showing you how cold the iceberg itself was, but how cold the water itself was. All those little divots you can put your hand in, and trust me, you can't keep it there for long. It really, really was cold. So, very cool feature, very immersive feature right there. Some of this stuff here might be hard to read. The lighting was really tricky, but you can probably make out the artifacts pretty well. Some shackles and things. A fragment of a broken dish. And this was really cool. I wasn't sure if it was real until I got up close. It's actually one of the davits that would have lowered the lifeboats down. So that's incredible. That must be heavy on its own. So again, pretty incredible that they've been able to bring some of this stuff up. This kind of details her deterioration while she's down there, just laying on the seabed. This was kind of, you could feel what like her texture would actually feel like now, with everything growing on it. Very cool. You can almost see someone shouting through that amidst the chaos. And again, some of these personal effects, when you're standing up close, especially if you're a Titanic fan, as I am, it's heavy. This was a cool section. I like the contrast of the images. They showed you, how it was found, and obviously same item in the image now being displayed. But very cool. That's where they found it, right on the bottom. I believe this is a bench. This one's iconic. You've probably seen this one if you're a Titanic fan at all. All those dishes just perfectly laid out. Pretty much the way they're put in. A very cool little recreation there of one of the, it might be one of the Russian subs that probably had a lot to do with bringing these artifacts up. This was my favorite. You could actually touch a piece of the Titanic, which was thrilling for me, honestly. I know it's weird, but I just couldn't believe I was actually touching a piece of that ship after reading story after story, account after account, to be able to touch a piece of that ship. Yeah, it's awesome.
Touch it. It's a piece of the Titanic. That's incredible. Touching the Titanic.
I got some vibes.
Just touch the Titanic. That's wow.
I believe this section, a few more personal artifacts, some receipts, postcards, coins, some clothing as well. I believe that is a towel. if you guys have the time, pardon me, if you have the time, that Boston Stone placard we just passed, give a pause on that. It's actually a very cool story. Some more clothing. And, you know, just hit you right in the feels. Unfortunately, Paul passed away on the Titan tragedy in 2022, I believe. So I thought it was cool they gave him cred. This is where you scan your boarding pass and find out if the person on your boarding pass survived or not. Mine did. Mine was this 2-year-old from France. I believe that was Tallulah. She did not survive. And she was a first-class woman, I think. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, the person, if they made it or not. These are all the names. Everybody lost from every class as well. This is about the end of the exhibit, guys. A few more artifacts. It does lead into a gift shop. I didn't record in there, but I did get a few things, a couple souvenirs. There's a Titanic mirror, t-shirt, authentic, you know, hourglass filled with shredded coal, because I had to, you know. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully you guys can go off and see this one on your own, wherever it may be. It's traveling U.S. right now, but thanks for sticking around. I hope you found it interesting, and I will see you guys on the next one.